Are relationships your biggest challenge? They are for most of us. But there's very specific ways in which we can experience a relationship. Relationships are a challenge for all of us. It's to do with how we move dynamically, energetically in so many ways that helps us to grow and to evolve. But in this video, we specifically look at that part where you tend to overgive, get really exhausted, or find yourself constantly being like the mother type person to everyone. You're in this endless caring role, and it can be so exhausting. Let's look at super simple, instant practices that can bring you back into your own energy and transform your ability to be in situations, being more full of yourself and being able to hold that empathy with less fatigue.
Allow your heart to listen.
Hi, I'm Nid, a soul guide. And in this series, we are exploring the awakening spiral. These are patterns of energy movement as we deepen into a layer of loving ourselves and life and all of its strange experiences that can come with it. And this is a 6-part journey that we're moving on. And this is part 2. So you can jump in at any part of this because it's not in a set order. But you might want to look at the video we did in the first week explaining how this spiral works. And the link for that is below. So what is it? This layer is an awakening gift that I love to call the archetype of the hearth keeper, the person that really brings us together into community. It's the gift of how everyone can really be felt like they're in a warm, nourishing, and nurturing environment. And that is what is being awakened with this energy. It is a expanding, loving, connected energy that we often feel as compassion and empathy. But people who find themselves in that kind of role, and it may be that that's a predisposition for you, that's part of just who you are, and it's also can be learned traits that we have societally through our family and through just the roles we might be given to do with certain interests or scenarios, traumatic events that happen through our lives. And this is an energy of really giving out, of really like going out into feeling other people, of being really kind of really empathetic. If we have empathy fatigue, this is a sign that you're really in this energy pattern and that there's some work in refining your energy so that you can really move through this form of energy with more stability, with more flow, and with a better centering in who you are and what your value is. Because sometimes we go into this pattern of really generously giving and sharing and wanting to build these amazing communities, and it ends up exhausting you. You end up with not just empathy fatigue, but like, say, maybe slightly resentful, maybe slightly bitter sometimes around other people, always receiving and being happy to take from you, but not necessarily reciprocating it particularly well. You might find yourself feeling like everyone else should know what they're supposed to do and that there's like a natural reciprocity that happens, but they're not really respecting it. Or perhaps you try and assert boundaries. And this really is quite a bit about healthy boundaries in relationships, that they just don't respect your boundaries, right? And you feel like you say it and you say it and you say it and it's never heard. And then you have to kind of go into this big drama and there has to be this drawing of a line. That is it, in order to find that boundary. And I remember this so clearly in my late 20s with my family and trying to find what would be healthy boundaries for me to have with different family members. And I managed it so badly as I tried to stand in my no and say what I wanted. It didn't really go down so well, and it caused a lot of problems. And that's quite common when we're so used to overgiving that we kind of try and uphold a boundary, but it's actually not really very stable. And a lot of this is to do with our own internal ability to hold our own energy. And that's what we're looking at here, is that your own energy is kind of constantly overleaking outwards into others. So if we were to imagine that I have a little bubble of my own energy field around me, like my aura, and you have your own bubble of energy around you too. And if you were sat next to me in this room, we would both be sat in our little bubbles. And we have our own independent bubble of energy around us that contains all of our wonder and beauty in this lifetime. But if my boundaries aren't very good and my energy is a little bit kind of overly giving, I start to kind of go off into your energy field and I want to feel what's going on for you and I want to know what's going on for you. And for me, this was being an empath as a child, feeling other people's feelings and thinking, therefore, I knew what was going on for them, which actually, just because I feel something for someone else, I have my lens of how I've lived that feeling and interpretation. That doesn't mean I actually know what their lens and their interpretation is. So it's one thing that I'm giving my energy to find out what's going on for this other person. I'm not holding my own energy within myself. So actually what I'm really doing is inviting in someone else's energy to become my own. So within my own bubble, it starts to get really confused and messy because I'm picking up other energy that isn't mine. And then I start making it into my story. And oh man, I can tell you from unraveling my own, that's a lot of muckiness that we find ourselves in. And you may find yourself in years of therapy trying to unravel that. You don't really need to. You can. And it may be helpful to do that. But the reality is that you just need to practice these 2 practices we're going to do in this video. And that will start to really shift things for you. And it's your ability to really stay in these practices that is what is going to transform your energy. And this isn't to say that there aren't other people out there who are like, yay, you're willing to give away loads of energy. You're willing to be so generous and I'm just going to take it from you. And like some people, they just love to do that. And there are energy vampires. And they may not consciously be doing that. They might just be, that person that really, really drains you. And so this isn't about whether or not someone's doing something right or wrong or is a good or a bad person. This really is just about you holding and loving your own energy bubble. So practice number 1 is going to be imagining and spending time in your energy bubble. The best thing you can do is to do this as soon as you wake up. Just if you're lying in bed, if you're sitting in bed, if you're standing in the shower, you can close your eyes or you can keep them open. And you just visualize yourself. And if you don't visualize, try and feel this amazing bubble of your energy. And you might want to naturally move your hands and kind of draw your bubble around you. And that can sometimes really help us to feel like this is my space and I make it mine, whatever that is. You might imagine that you're breathing light from above or from the earth and letting that exhale breathe out into your bubble, filling your bubble with all of your beauty, all of the lovely color that you are made up of. Or you might just want to really feel that there's this boundary and that you're in it and you're filling it up. And fill it with whatever it is that feels good for you. Good memories, things you're grateful for. And really take your time to do this every day, as early in the day as you can. So you really set yourself up nice and strong for your day in your own energy field. And then when you've done that, get on with your day. And if as you go through your day, you notice that people are draining you or you're coming in, you're going, oh, hang on a minute, I just felt myself going into that pattern. Come back, connect into your bubble and really feel its fullness. And then the second part of this practice is at the end of your day for sure. And sometimes when you're leaving a situation, when you're with someone and you're going on to do something else, we want to create kind of bookmarkers in our experiences where we close the energy of what we've just been doing to move into the new. And so as you leave a situation or a person, or at the end of your day, you're just going to return whatever energy is not yours that you may have unconsciously or consciously picked up through that interaction. And you might say, I'm returning this back to sender, with love and light. Or you might be, I'm returning back to sender and like, sod you. You might be feeling really, really, really irritated and angry, and it might feel like energy. You're like, just trust yourself. Don't judge yourself about how you need to send that energy back. It's okay. But honor the feeling you have with that energy, because otherwise it won't shift. So we have to really honor the emotions that come with the energy that we may have picked up and respond appropriately as we return that energy, knowing that that is honoring how you actually feel and whatever that's done. And sometimes when you return that energy, you may still feel a little residual. And that might be because it's triggered something within you to resolve around how you hold your bubble, maybe some of your boundaries and your rules that you're putting in place around boundaries and how you're upholding them. And that can be a really great opportunity for you to take that dive deeper, to do some reflection, some contemplation. Maybe we use the gene keys, which I love to use to help with that reflection, or you use another form of method. And if you love or are curious about the gene keys, you can have a look at the link below and get your own free profile to discover a little bit more about how the gene keys might help you with what's in your beautiful bubble and some of those relationship lessons that you're learning, especially through the Venus sequence, that would help you with those boundaries and what is healthy for you. So these are two wonderful ways in which you can start to build out your own energy so you can know your boundaries and hold them with the same empathy and loving kindness that you do with people who you see are in suffering and pain. If you'd like to know if this really is your current stage in the spiral, the layer in which you are moving through, then you might want to join the quiz below and get the extra free practices with that link. So just type quiz below in the comments and we'll send you over the link for the quiz, and therefore you'll get some extra free practices to support you with this. What I really love about this gift is that when you're really in the energy, you discover your real fullness, your real wonder and beauty, and you'll attract in people and relationships that will reflect that. And that can really transform a lot in your life because you'll feel so different in what supports you and what upholds you and what helps you really radiate and be who you're here to be. So make sure that you subscribe and hit like if this video was helpful, and type quiz below. Don't forget that if you want to find out your more support tools for this layer and if this really is the layer you're experiencing at this time. And in next week's video, we're going to explore the next layer of the spiral. It's about how we find stability as we move through the dynamics of life. Rather than feeling like everything in life is hard work and effortful, there is this beautiful dancing journey where we reflect back the scenarios, the circumstances that are happening, and it's a beautiful uplifting energy of the joy, the voice that you have inside of you, the expression that wants to come out but is unique to you. So make sure that you hit subscribe so you get that video as soon as it comes out. And I look forward to exploring that with you next week. And in the meantime, have a most wonderful week.
Thank you for joining. Have a wonderful day.